Okay, welcome back, everyone. Our next speaker is Tanya. Tanya is from the University of Auckland, and Tanya has a very interesting talk to share with us. The talk is titled Reclaiming Take-Home Assessment in the Age of AI. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks, Paul. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right. Well, this is a joint work with two other people, and this project started last summer, and it is all about facing the challenge that we all been talking about here. What do we do with our take-home assessment? How do we adapt to the AI era? So the rise of AI tools now allows students to pretty much come up with near perfect solutions all the way to postgraduate level maths. And that, of course, presents as a threat to academic security. And it reflects no student thinking in some cases. So some students in the A grade bands will engage with take-home assignments and do the thinking and do the solving. But the ones that are not appreciating the learning side of things, they will not engage with this. And the marker feedback becomes meaningless, and there are some moral questions, I guess, to discuss around what can we spend money, tax-based money, on GTAs who are marking work that's generated by AI, right? Big questions there. To my mind, no, we cannot. So we need some novel, principally different types of assessment, not even assessment. I'm personally calling them learning tasks. I don't really care about them as a summative assessment. I care about creating learning tasks that get the students to engage with the learning process. And so here is a trial. It's not a solution. It's just a report of what we're trying. And we started in semester 1 this year. In Calculus 1, like a proofs-based math majors course at the University of Auckland, we scrapped our written take-home assignments and replaced them by explain and assess video assignments. So for 10% of their total course grade, we ask students to create short videos. So 2 to 5 minutes, so it was a 5 minutes max cutoff, and in which they were to explain their own reasoning to themselves, to fictitious peer. And we varied the prompts, and that's another different research project that my PhD student, Huixin over there, is working on now. And then videos are graded by peers. After they've been submitted, they're graded by 4 randomly assigned peers, and I'll explain more in the following slides. And we have given them the self-explanation training, and we also gave them the sort of exemplars of what constitutes a bad explanation. So this is our GTA, recording an explanation, basically repeating what he was writing. And this was labeled bad explanation. We also gave them examples of what constitutes a good explanation, and also showcased we showcased the variability that we expect. We didn't ask them that they have to record their face or anything like that if they don't feel comfortable. Finger moving around and pointing, this follows from this and this follows from that. Page that's being dragged up or down is acceptable. So it is, the whole premise of this is that it's very difficult to outsource to AI at this moment of time, because it is extremely obvious if someone's reading a script of what to say without understanding what they're saying. In mathematics, I'm not sure about other disciplines, but in mathematics, proofs-based course, that is obvious. And some students have tried to use AI, and because there was peer marking, the peers would be like, what? That is not, and they just mark them down. So the whole system kind of worked in a way of incentives. And so the focus shifts from the answers to articulating their reasoning. I no longer care if they use generative AI tools to come up with a solution. That doesn't concern me anymore. And I can even recycle my assignment questions semester over semester over semester. Makes it a lot easier. It is actually based on a large body of cognitive science research and in mathematics education in undergraduate level. A key reference is Mark Hodds, who is actually here over there. We are delighted to see Mark here. And Huixin has just published a systematic literature review on student-generated explanations and bringing 3 research programs together, and it's in that review if you are interested. We've used a Canvas, so Canvas is our learning management system. Our university somehow purchased this plugin without us even asking for it. It's called Feedback Fruits, and it's a tool to enable peer assessment. Now I sound like they pay me money, but it is they don't, and it's really well integrated with Canvas. So this is my Canvas Canvas website for the course, and in assignment 1, question 1, this is already a feedback fruit. So I don't even need to leave Canvas to use feedback fruit, set up deadlines, choose how many peers I need to assign to them, and then feedback fruit sends reminders to students through Canvas. Oh, such and this is due, or peer assessment is due. And after the whole thing is done, it populates the marks automatically into Canvas without me doing anything. It's really, it's very easy for us to use. Okay, so what did we do? Each video was peer graded by 3 to 4 anonymous classmates. In semester 1, we tried 4, then we dropped it down to 3 because students were complaining it takes too long. But again, there's room for further analysis and research in that space. Rubrics were very basic. We didn't have time to even think about rubrics, just like correctness and clarity and quality of explanations. Minimum staff oversight required. And the grading breakdown changed from semester 1 to semester 2. This is the one I landed that suits my purposes at this stage. I gave them 40% for submitting a video, 30% for engaging in peer grading, and 30% was the average of the scores that their peers assigned to them. Several students expressed concern. So the complaint started from the start when I said to them there will be peer grading. They were not happy about that. Not all of them, but some. And the class representative came to the class rep meeting with the department and started to say it's not there. It's valid concerns, because at that time when I was rolling it out in semester 1, I had no idea about validity or reliability of peer grading in this context. There was nothing known. So hence the impetus for this study. So just reporting on a study that's still in progress, I've just done the analysis for validity, reliability, and to make sense of it, first of all, this is the type of a question that was the very first question. It is a proof that square root of 6 is irrational. And, there's a typo there, but anyway. So I gave them the lines of the proof and kind of spiced it up with a few mathematical notation. And the prompts were to self-explain each step and just explain. Why is this line there? What's the purpose of it and stuff like that. And other type of question I've used is, what's wrong with this proof that 5 equals -5? So again, this is the first time they've seen proofs at university. So it is a known bottleneck, like a threshold thing. They're really struggling with this. So these kind of questions I thought were conducive to this kind of student-generated explanations that they want to think about. And also just a standard epsilon-delta definition of a limit. Use the definition, prove that this limit equals 3 or -infinity, whatnot. Right, results. Reliability of peer grading. What do you think? No. Oh, yeah, okay, varied. So I've used interclass correlation coefficient, ICC 1.4, because each submission, so that's semester 1, each submission was graded by 4 randomly assigned peers. raters differed across submissions. So one-way random effects model was appropriate. And yeah, so it's takes the average of 4 peer scores. If you change it to just individual one, the ICC goes down. So the results are not great, but low to moderate, but statistically significant agreement between peers. And we also realized that reliability varied by task type unexpectedly. For some reason, we had higher reliability on conceptual reasoning questions such as like, what is wrong with this proof? So the reliability was higher in the moderate range, but it was the lowest in the epsilon-delta limits questions. So room for further research, what is going on there, but I guess kind of makes sense. Validity. All right, so the way it was assessed, I got some funding and hired a GTA to do the grading blind. So the GTA was not seeing the scores that peers assigned. And one question, the very first one, was that proof of 10 lines was graded by GTA, and then we just ran basic analysis. So this is a scatter plot of peers versus GTA grades. Note the ranges are different. So this is a question out of 10 maximum points. So peers, the range is from 4.5 was the lowest to 10, whereas GTA had a full range from 0 to 10. And yeah, they've done well overall, if you can see. And Pearson's correlation from 145 submissions came up as 0.45, significant, indicates a moderate positive association between peer and GTA grades. So it's it's not great. It's not what I was hoping to see, but it suggests that on average, peer assessments broadly align with GTA evaluations, though there is some variation. Bias analysis. This was the one that really gave me a lot of insights, is the bias analysis. So here you see a blunt Altman plot, peers versus GTA scores, but so each, and with frequency, so the bubbles indicate the frequency that occurred. So each dot, small dot, has two coordinates. The x coordinate is the average between a GTA score and the average scores of the peers. Now, the y coordinate of each point represents the difference between peers minus GTA. So I'm assessing the bias, whether or not peers are more biased in terms of in a positive way or negative way. Right? So the mean is denoted by the red horizontal line. So the mean of the difference was plus 1.2, so indicating a small positive bias of peers overall. Now, the blue lines, the blue band, is capturing 95% limits of agreement, and only 8 submissions were outside of that blue band, so indicating strong consistency. But the distribution pattern was interesting. So differences are mostly positive, so and even above the red line for low to medium mean score. So low performing work was evaluated more generously by the peers than by GTA. However, to my surprise, at higher mean scores, most points fall below the red mean line. So the generosity of peers has diminished for some unknown reason. And, which was very upsetting to me, there's a lot of submissions below the 0 value on the y coordinate, indicating that a GTA score was higher than the peers score. When I was doing this analysis, I was really hoping to see that peers are more generous, and they always consistently are more generous. So I could go next semester and say, don't worry about fairness. you are going to get a higher grade than otherwise you would get if a GTA would be doing. Now I can't quite say that. So further research is needed. What is going on there? Because at a higher rate, like from 8 to 9, right? It could be that students who are not quite understanding what is going on, they are not confident enough to give full marks to actual high quality explanations. Or it could be a very confident, very strong students they have high standards and they just see everybody else's work is kind of not as good as theirs and they just mark them down. Competition factors, maybe, I don't know what is going on. It could be neither of those. So, but yeah, so perhaps if we're going to do it next year, I have to shift, maybe even reduce the percentage that I give them for the peer grading, and then it will wash it out in the combined score, and they will be happy. Right. We also did a qualitative analysis. Huixin, my PhD student, she interviewed the students for her research, and she asked one question at the end saying, what did you think about peer assessment? And so their responses were analyzed qualitatively. There were 3 themes identified. I don't have time to talk about these. But kind of obvious: usefulness, challenges, requests for support. And I will just briefly mention one theme about benefits of peer grading, why some students thought. So actually, the majority of students found peer grading process useful from the 20 that volunteered to be interviewed by Huixin. So yeah, a skewed sample perhaps. And they explain the benefits as just an exposure to different types of explanations, different types of solutions. And some of them said it's actually nice to see the explanation over and over and over again. So instead of one time, I see it 5 times. It's just better for my learning. Frequency counts. So 13 out of 20 peer grading is useful. 7 out of 20 not useful. 12 said, yes, it really was good for my understanding because I watched peers and helped my understanding. And 10 said different approaches was very nice to see. It really added to my learning. It's a telling quote. There was one assignment in particular where I was really struggling. And after submitting it, I didn't think I did it right. But then looking at other people's solution, I understood it more because, they were explaining it to me, which really helped. Yeah, so instead of one teacher, they have now 5 teachers explaining the same. And so some rudimentary evidence, which is not even evidence, that at least it didn't do any harm. So there is a comparison between semester 2, this just finished now, to a semester, also to semester 2 in 2023, where we had the same teaching team. And so the same course book, same assessment structure, 2 tests, 1 exam. So everything was the same, except back in 2023, they had written assignments. Okay. And this semester they had video assignments, explain. So what we see here, did not seats dropped, like halved. Yeah. So we see a significant difference in grade distribution, and mostly through large increases in B bands. It's gone up by 16%, A band 4.2, and C band reduced by 4.7. So not too shabby, but the pass rate, look at the pass rate. In 2023, we almost got into trouble. It was such a low pass rate, 61.3, and it jumped up to 77.48. That is pretty good for this course, stage 1 proofs-based course. And so at least I'm not doing any harm. I'm not taking it as evidence. Of course, cohorts are different. 2023 post-COVID impacts maybe there, who knows, but yeah. And so there is some evidence that video explanations may boost performance, and may is the important word here, by maybe increasing the engagement. They just simply now, instead of asking ChatGPT, actually have to think about stuff, maths. So that's what we know from the science of learning. It will increase their learning for sure. Maybe they will try to make sense of maths better, because if you're trying to teach someone, right, about something, you really got to understand it first. And there's this effect from educational psychology called the teaching expectancy effect. So if you're learning the material and you know you're expecting to teach, just like we prepare for our lectures, right? If you're looking at it, cognitive engagement is kind of superior, because you know you gotta be explaining it. So the teaching expectancy effect is well documented outside of undergrad maths, because there's not much research been done on this. Okay, so maybe, hopefully, through the cognitive framework, maybe this kind of task, strengthening organization and integration of the new material in their long-term memory. So that's our hopes. But anyway, we feel like it's the way of the future, and we need to explore it more. Okay, I will wrap up, so we have time for questions. Next thing, I'm going to keep on doing this. I need to be thinking, what do I do to address the fairness complaints, which turns out to be a valid concern from the students. So perhaps I will decrease the percentage, like I said, for a peer assessment component. And some very conscientious students in an interview, they said, it's taking us 4 hours to mark because I'm so worried to not be consistent and objective. Very few out of 20, but wow. All right. So, and some were like, oh yeah, it takes us a couple of minutes. We just watch it on double speed, and yeah, it looks fine. So yeah, full marks. Yeah. Anyway, but I don't care. I don't mind giving them full marks as long as it's a learning task. It's not a summative assessment anymore. I have 80% now as an invigilated assessment component in this course. I don't mind to give 20% just to all of them at 100%. I don't care. It's not going to change a thing. If they don't know, they're going to fail the course. Anyway, so, all right, I'll stop here, and I welcome your comments, questions. What did you think? Alex? Yeah, 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 but not A+, right? Because I would be worried. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Could be. We don't know, but I think we should try to find out what's going on. But yeah, there will be a proportion of students who don't really care. But as long as some students care, some of them will get yeah. 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 Feedback fruit. Yeah. So feedback fruit has you can drop the lowest score now. So I did it in semester 2. So that seemed to alleviate concerns of some. So the complaints reduced. Actually, in this semester, only 5 students written something negative about this in the student evaluations at the end. But there were 5 students writing positive stuff. That really helps. So it's kind of, it's all right. Yes, Sam?
Students who already scored quite high among their peers and got them regraded by only other peers who also scored high.
Oh, that's a good suggestion. All right, so yes, to set up peer grading, not randomly, but according to their performance indicators from somewhere. Is that to regrade it again? Is that what you? Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we'll think about that. And yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we insist that they cannot try to impersonate their voice. So that's hopefully that'll be considered academic violation of academic integrity. Yeah, there were 3 students who tried to do that. They were English was not first language, and but they got marked down by other students because they could see this is not the real. So kind of as a system is self-sustaining at this moment, but as AI increases, of course, yeah, maybe they just can just say, yeah, I don't know, like the same as Amanda gave a talk earlier, right? We don't know, but at least we're trying something and see what's going to happen with generative AI. Yeah. Yeah, just so 4 in semester 1, and I dropped it down to 3 in semester. Oh, overall. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so there were 3 assignments, each was 3 videos each. So 9 videos, well, times 3, so 27. Yeah, but spaced out through the semester. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I was just wondering whether, you investigated the bias against non-native speakers, and I would imagine that if I was doing it, because of my own personality, perhaps I would also probably have difficulty. So non-native speakers, maybe people confident might.
Yeah.
In the same way that we talk about,
Yeah, I share your concerns. Like the oral exams, I think I'm against it because there's plenty of research from the 70s saying there's a clear bias, and that's why they kind of canned them in the 70s. But it's not even a summative assessment. These are little points, 10% of final grade with 80% of invigilated component. It's not a big deal if there is a bias, a little bias, but we should check that for ethnicities and gender as well. Yeah.